Hi, boys and girls. It's Mrs. Joyce from Gregory School, and today I am here to teach you lesson 8.4. And this lesson is going to be about line symmetry, which we have done before in the past. You learned about line symmetry in basic shapes in 3rd grade, and then we also did a lesson in 4th grade. So what we're going to do is today we're going to review some terms for line symmetry. We're going to talk about pictures that are symmetrical. And then we're going to extend what we know about symmetry, and we're going to be finding lines of symmetry in quilted patterns. So here we go. Now I'm going to clear that. Okay, so we're going to start fresh. So let's listen to our math message.
Math message. Find an object in the room that has at least 2 lines of symmetry. Write the name of the object and record the number of lines of symmetry it has.
Okay, so I know that you cannot see the room that I am sitting in, and I can't see the rooms that you're sitting in either. But what I want you to do is I want you to take a moment to look around that room, and I want you to try to find a few objects that are symmetrical, and it would be even better if the object that you find has more than one line of symmetry. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a few moments to search the room that you're in. Okay, so hopefully you have some ideas in mind. Right now I am sitting in my living room, and one of the things that I have in my living room is a TV. And my TV is in the shape of a rectangle, which looks like that. And my TV is symmetrical in more than one way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how this rectangle, or my TV, is symmetrical. But first, I'm going to draw a dot in the center of my TV. Because when we're talking about symmetry, lines of symmetry must go through the center of the object, center of the shape, center of the picture, whatever it is that you're finding line symmetry in. So my purple dot is the center of my TV. So I have a line of symmetry going up and down. And we're going to talk about more specific terms for that in a moment. And I also have a line of symmetry going across left and right. If an object is symmetrical, that means that when you divide it in half, so to speak, the object is exactly the same on both sides. So if you split it down the middle going up and down, the left side and the right side are exactly the same. And we would call that congruent. When two pictures, when two shapes or two parts of an image are identical, that means that they are congruent. So maybe you were looking at a refrigerator that has line symmetry, or a desk, or a table, or a lamp, or a rug. There are many, many, many things that we have around us each and every day that are symmetrical. Now, when I was showing you the picture of my TV, I had mentioned a few terms. Now, the first term, and I'm just going to go over these and outline them in, let's do pink, while I explain them. So the first line that I drew went across, or left to right. And we would refer to that as a horizontal line. Then we had a line of symmetry that went up and down. We would refer to that as vertical, a vertical line. And then some shapes, my TV did not have these, but some shapes have diagonal lines of symmetry, which look like that. Now, some of you may be thinking that my picture of my rectangle, my TV, did have diagonal line symmetry. But if you remember back to a previous lesson, in order for it to count as a line of symmetry, you would have to create a fold in that shape or in that image on the line of symmetry, and all of the sides would need to match up. So even though if I was to draw a rectangle, it would appear, okay, just like this, it would appear that that would be a line of symmetry because it looks like they're the same shape. When you fold that shape going through that diagonal line, the corners and sides do not match up. So that is not a line of symmetry here. All right, so what we're going to do now is we are going to talk about those quilted patterns where we're going to be looking at lines of symmetry. So we're not going to just be looking at a basic square or circle or rectangle or rhombus. We're going to be looking at pictures, which are going to be called quilting patterns. So some of you might notice some of these pictures. Maybe you see them in tile in a bathroom or on a quilt, wallpaper, but there's patterns that repeat itself, and we're going to talk about these right now. So I'm going to go ahead and play this.
Symmetry in quilting patterns. For each pattern, use the Line E tool to draw all the lines of symmetry and record the number of lines of symmetry. Pinwheel pattern. Lines of symmetry. 4, 2, 1, 0.
Okay. So when I have all 4 of these quilting patterns on my screen, if you look at them quickly, your first glance, they do not look like they are the same. However, the original layout is the same. What makes the image look different is the coloring and the gray areas that are shaded in different locations in each square. And that also affects the number of lines symmetry that they have. So if we look at this first picture, we have, it almost looks like a a square, and there's little triangles that it's divided into. And as you could see, the dotted lines represent lines of symmetry. So they're all going through the center of the shape. So we have 1 vertical, 1 horizontal, and 2 diagonal. I apologize, the last line that I just drew was not really on that dotted line. But there are 4 lines of symmetry in this shape, or pattern rather. Now, if we look over at this next picture, it's the same pattern, but now we see some dark gray shading and some light gray shading. And that deducts 2 lines of symmetry from our original picture. So now, with this drawing and shaded area, we only have 2 lines. So we have a vertical and a horizontal. Now, I want to show you why diagonals would not be considered a line of symmetry here. So what I'm going to do in pink, I'm going to draw a diagonal line. So if you can imagine me folding this shape in half along that pink dotted line, the image, the triangles that would be on top of one another would be different. This triangle right here would be on top of this one. And as you could see, one is shaded and one is not. Because when you make that fold, they would lie on top of one another. Same with this triangle and this triangle. This one and this one. So even though they're the same shape that is on top of one another, when you create that fold, the coloring is not the same. So that is why the lines of symmetry are different. So now we have this one, and there is only one line of symmetry. And it is directly down the center, and it is horizontal. It's vertical right here. So these two would be on top of one another, and they're both shaded in. This one and this one would be on top of one another. This triangle and this triangle, that one and that one. And as you could see, it's either two shaded triangles or two not shaded triangles. So it's all the same. And then the next one does not have any line symmetry at all, because none of these triangles and the colors that they're shaded in or not shaded in would match up. So as you could see, it's a little bit more intricate, the types of pictures that we're looking at here. It's not just basic shapes. We're going to be really having to focus on the pattern, the picture, the shaded areas, the not shaded areas, and really determine if a line symmetry would be appropriate or not. So what you guys are going to do now is you're going to look at different kinds of quilted patterns, and I'm going to show you, okay, in screen 4. And that brought me exactly back where I was. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so now we have another pattern, which is called the bow tie pattern. And you guys are going to have to identify how many lines of symmetry there are. Remember, it's going to change even though the basic pattern is the same. Then you're going to do the Ohio star pattern, which looks like this. How many lines of symmetry? And then my all-time favorite, the pineapple log cabin pattern, which I just think is pretty cool because it almost looks three-dimensional. So you're going to do the same thing. You're going to figure out how many lines of symmetry those pictures have. Okay, then when you are finished with those questions, okay, you can try something called a 9-patch pattern. And it looks like it's made up of 9 squares, so it's a little bit harder. But this is interactive, so you can actually move the tiles around and arrange them to make a pattern that has 2 lines of symmetry. So it's going to tell you specifically how many lines. And then these tiles you can move into the shape and create your own. And then you have the same thing, but only they want no lines of symmetry. So you're going to create something that's not symmetrical at all. And then, of course, okay, we're going to have a page of multi-step number stories, and that's just extra practice for you. And then your math boxes and your home link. Boys and girls, feel free to search the internet for symmetrical images to help you get more visuals of what symmetrical shapes look like. And that's actually what I did before I started this lesson. I found this one down here, the rainbow, which is symmetrical. As you could see, that is a pixel art from Minecraft, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with. But as you can see, there is line symmetry everywhere. So I hope this lesson helped you with your work today. And good luck, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.